Hey, welcome to the final episode of episode 14, The Battle at Bloodskull Gorge. I'm DM Scotty, glad to have you with me. The battle is finally here. We're going to set up, show you what all the pieces look like on the table. Going to impress your players and going to be fantastic. Now I want you to think about this while you're watching the video and seeing what we've set up. Think about how difficult this would be to set up if you had to have the little squares all marked out in a grid on the table. You'd have to have a mat, and draw the road on there, and then you'd have to draw all the squares on the, on the gorge edges and the bridge, and just, why give yourself that hassle? Why limit your players that way? Just use a measuring stick. That's all you need. Look how fantastic this setup looks, and just don't bother with the squares. Just say heck with it, because it looks so much better. It doesn't look like a board game. It looks like a miniature world, and that's the whole goal of miniatures. You want it to be, you want your players to feel like they're in the world. You want them to feel like they're moving through it. And why ruin that with squares? So really think about that when you're watching this. To switch over to the measuring sticks. It's just so much better. So let's get to the battle and show you the table, and I'm very excited. So let's do it. Typically, I will have my table splayed out like this. I'll have my my cloth down on the table. I've got this grass-like cloth, so it'll simulate the outdoors. So I just wanted to show you how easy it'll be to set this up. People are like, "Oh, geez, it takes so long to set something like this up." No, it just takes a few moments. So you just distract the PCs with something while you're setting up, or give descriptions, keep their minds engaged while you just start popping the pieces down. And also, I want to say, don't put pieces down that they wouldn't necessarily see yet. So you can start putting some pieces down, and then as the player characters move in or engage the scenario, you can add more pieces as they come into their attention. So what I'm going to do, obviously, the gorge is going to be the main center of attention. So, but I'm going to, since the roads will go under the gorge, I'm going to put those down first. So I've got my two roads. Now I'm going to have to adjust these a little bit when I put the gorge down. So I'll just put those kind of in the center of the area. Now I'll grab the gorge. We'll pop our gorge down here in the center. So I got it right in the center of the table there. And now as the players move up, I've also got some cover as far as light cover with bushes and things. So I'll put those down. This will give the players a little more few more tactile options as they play. So now as you are playing the game, your players may come down the road. You'll have the gorge and everything set up, but until they get close enough, you may not want to put the bridge and the battlements and all that kind of stuff up. So as they get closer, we'll start to, you can describe that they see the bridge and everything, so you can set that up. And just keep all this stuff near at hand, so they can see the bridge. And they may notice that it's actually a drawbridge, spans the gorge. And as they get closer, they'll start to notice a little battlement there that the orcs are using. Now you could also pop one. I have a couple smaller ones, and you could place them wherever you think appropriate. But probably a good place would be one here across the bridge, and maybe even another one here or here, so that archers can rain fire on the poor player characters in relative safety. So there we go. That's our basic setup. And now we'll set the characters up, and I'll give you some ideas of how you could run this too. Now remember, when you're setting up your encounter, don't give the players too much information. Also, set the players up where they describe where they are. So if one player just says they're going to go to the cover here and kind of observe the orcs, then you could put the character there, and the rest of the characters could hang back, and you could do some checks and everything if you needed to for them to observe the orcs. If they decide not to do that, if they just want to walk up, don't start them back here and then measure all the way up. Just go ahead and put the characters up there. Or don't even put them up there. Do the role-playing encounter, describe it, and do the role-playing encounter first before you even set all this up. And then once the action starts, then you can put the characters there. Now you can see right now too, I've got the bridge lowered. So the orcs may not even have the bridge up when the player characters arrive. So the players may be able to negotiate their way across, or they may be able to just get across before the other orcs can lift the bridge from the other side. So keep that in mind. These other orcs are going to try not to let them do that, but that's always a possibility. So like I say, you don't have to treat it like a war game. Treat it like a role-playing game. And then when when the action starts, that's when you can set everybody where they would be in the start. So don't necessarily set them back here and then measure them all the way up and then start your role play. If they decide to just walk up to the gate and start talking to them, or then role play that and then set the characters up. If they decide to charge in, the orcs are obviously going to see they're aggressive, and they would probably start further back because the orcs would see them coming down the road. So if they got their weapons drawn and they're yelling or something, then the orcs are going to be ready to fight. If they observe the orcs, they might notice that they see some pikes coming out from here. They might see the guards kind of lazily, not paying much attention, and maybe they could launch a sneak attack from, we've got some foliage on each side, so the players might be able to sneak up and do a sneak attack, and so there's tons of possibilities. But remember, the role-playing goes first. This is not a war game, this is a role-playing game. So you want to stick to the role-playing first, and then let that dictate how you set up your models and how everything works. Now, I want to go to another subject now. In my games, I'm not for a crazy amount of checks, but, there's some fortifications back behind on the other side of the bridge, so if the players get to a certain point on the other side of the bridge, they may see a couple fortifications. It looks like maybe an archer ducking behind there, but depending on the perception check or how close they are, they may not know. So if the situation goes well for the players, they may be able to scramble across the bridge and fight before they're able to raise the bridge. But if the alarm goes off, some orcs may run up here, and the players may have a chance to either engage them before they get to the mechanism, or they just push them off with some spell or ability. So I would say if the orcs get up here, or one of them gets up here, they can hit the mechanism that raises the bridge, and then the players have to figure out how to get across the bridge. Oops, there we go. The players have to figure out how to get across the bridge now that it's raised. So they might be able to teleport across or do something like that. Also, you could have more orcs over here that the players didn't perceive or didn't see because they're on the other side. So then you could have other archers, kind of swarm up on the rocks and everything. So you got a lot of tactical options. Don't give it all to the players all at once. It's not like a war game. Don't put everything down like when the players walk on the board. Don't put these down unless they're over on the other side, spending a lot of time observing and seeing what's going on in the camp. They may not even notice these until they get up here. So, use your judgment as a DM to when you should reveal what. And it's always fun, to have other forces just seem to come from nowhere. There's maybe some orcs sleeping over here or whatever, and they all of a sudden they rouse and they're ready to fight, and they're lining this gorge here, lobbing arrows over at the players. So this is a great this terrain set is a great thing for that type of attack. So now I want to talk about the terrain itself. Now here I've got a tight shot on the edge. So say we had a character and there's a ranger and he moved up. Now what I would say is each one of these steps up is like 5 feet. And you can do however you want, but that just seems to be like a convenient way to measure. So they would have to, you know, obviously climb up a little bit to get up to each part. So that's just basically, that inch would be half speed. So I wouldn't bother making any kind of rolls. It's just like a movement penalty. So basically for the archer to go up here, it'd be 2 inches, then 2 more inches, then 2 more. So, and since this is like 5 feet above, he's behind this rock, he could use that for cover. So he's popping out, shooting his arrows at the other side. You know, even though obviously this is much lower than the character, you can use this kind of elevation grade to roughly equivalent to 5 feet. So that's very nice and easy way to just measure the vertical distance without making rocks that you can't stand on. You know, you could make this all 3D and, you know, crazy and bumpy and everything, but then your character's falling all over. And with this, it's flat. You know, your character can stand on it, no problem. It's got a little bit of texture, but nothing that the character can't stand on. Every section of this they can stand on easily. So that's what I like about this. It's a stable platform for your models, because we are, you know, we're dealing with models, and we want it to be fun and interesting, but you also got to be practical about how the models will stand up. So that's what these rocks are really nice for. You've still got that elevation, but you've got the ease of putting your figure on it. So I wanted to talk about that, and now we'll move on to the next thing. Now I'm just going to do a quick walk around the table. It's kind of a 360 degrees so you can see what's going on. Got the road, got the foliage there to hide in. And we got our main action down here. We got a ranger fighting. We got a wizard hiding behind the rocks there. We got a barbarian engaging the orcs on the steps here. The other orcs are running out from behind the barricade to attack. We got a monk and a cleric rushing to try to get across that bridge before these other orcs get up there and hit the mechanism. And all the while we got these orcs on the edges pelting them with arrows. So very exciting battle scene there. Get a lot of fun for your player characters. Let me just kind of go around here. So there we go. There's our 3D battle. And I hope you've enjoyed the battle at Bloodskull Gorge. And stay tuned for another DM's Craft. See you soon.